The roaring sound of diesel engines tore through the pitch-black night over the sea area about 120 nautical miles from the Sarawak coast. 3 Malaysian frigates suddenly switched on blinding white searchlights, shining directly onto the formation of over 40 militia ships rushing toward them at a speed of 20 knots. The first collision occurred immediately. The gray steel bow of a militia ship scraped the port side of the leading frigate. The screech of metal was piercing, water splashes over 10 meters high. The 57mm warning cannon fired 3 consecutive rounds. Tracer rounds drew bright red curves across the sky, impacting the water just 50 meters from the bow of the militia ship, creating an upright white water column. This is Malaysia's exclusive economic zone, where the gas and oil rig has been operating for the past 3 months, but tonight it is completely encircled by over 40 militia ships, flying the red flag with yellow star. The northeast wind blew strongly at level 6. 3-meter high waves caused the ships to rock violently. Immediately, the second frigate accelerated to maximum speed, cutting waves and crossing the enemy formation. High-pressure water cannons fired salt water straight into the command cabin of the leading militia ship. Water flooded the cockpit, the windshield shattered, figures wearing orange life jackets stumbled inside. At the same time, the third fast patrol boat circled to the rear, radar scanning continuously, detecting 15 more small targets attempting to squeeze through a gap. The loudspeaker from the main frigate rang out steadily, in both Malay and Mandarin, demanding immediate withdrawal from the sea area. The militia ships did not reduce speed, instead accelerating straight toward the rig area. Alarm sirens wailed incessantly. A large 5,000-ton militia ship deliberately pressed against the starboard side of the Malaysian frigate. Steel hulls scraped for over 30 meters. Red sparks shot out fiercely. The gun crew on deck immediately rotated the 76mm turret, the barrel lowered to less than 2 meters above the sea surface, ready to fire if directly rammed. In the underground operations room beneath the ship's deck, the radar screen flashed with over 40 chaotic moving bright spots, forming a colossal crescent shape encircling the rig. Commanding officers gripped the railings tightly, sweat streaming down despite the temperature being only 18 degrees. Red alert sirens rang out continuously, targets approaching under 5 nautical miles, high risk of collision. In the sky, the sound of armed helicopter rotors rang out from the horizon. Searchlights swept down like bright swords, slicing the night. The 6-hour chase began. The northeast wind whistled past the radar antenna. Gray waves over 4 meters high continuously struck the side of the frigate, running at maximum speed of 30 knots. The sky was still pitch black, with only flickering searchlights and flares reflecting on the oil-slicked water surface. The militia ships had now split into 3 clusters. The main cluster of 18 ships still rushing straight for the rig, the second cluster of 12 ships circling wide to the south to cut off the Malaysian ship's retreat, the third cluster of over 10 smaller ships silently slipped into the darkness to the north. The leading frigate activated all high-pressure water cannons. 4 white water columns fired straight at the 3 closest militia ships. Salt water flooded the deck, sweeping away drums and ropes, causing the figures on deck to cling tightly to the railings. Simultaneously, the 4th fast patrol boat from the rear accelerated past, cutting across the bow of the main cluster, forcing them to abruptly reduce speed to avoid a direct collision. The screech of metal rang out as the 2 hulls were less than 3 meters apart. Meanwhile, at the command center on the mothership, 15 nautical miles from the area, officers observed the large screen, over 40 moving bright spots moving chaotically, forming a colossal crescent around the prey. A brief order rang out: deploy armed helicopters. Illuminate the entire area. Do not let them approach under 2 nautical miles. 2 armed helicopters took off from the flight deck, rotors beating fiercely, tearing the wind, rushing into the conflict zone in just 7 minutes. High-powered searchlights swept down, turning the sea surface into a blinding white stage. Under the glaring light, the militia formation became clearly visible. Gray-painted steel ships, red flag with yellow star fluttering, dozens of people wearing life jackets stood in rows on deck, holding megaphones and flag signals. The largest militia ship suddenly switched on, a dazzling blue laser, straight into the helicopter cockpit, forcing the pilot to bank sharply to avoid the temporarily blinding light. Immediate counterattack. The second helicopter dropped 3 parachute flares, turning the 3 nautical mile radius sea area into daylight. The glaring white light exposed the small ships attempting to secretly slip under the rig's hull. At the same time, the third frigate fired a volley of illumination rockets in front of the main cluster's bow. 12 streaks of light shot up and burst into small, hanging suns. Under that light, the militia ships had no place to hide, forced to reduce speed and turn away from the illuminated zone. The loudspeaker voice from the helicopter rang out steadily. "This is Malaysia's exclusive economic zone. Leave the sea area immediately." Notices. The chase had entered its second hour. Waves were still high, wind still whistled, but the distance between the two sides was still not widened beyond 500 meters. Heavy rain began to fall from the pitch-black clouds on the horizon, turning the sea surface into a dull, opaque glass with only erratic flashing searchlights visible. The sound of water hitting the bridge windows drowned out the engine noise. The third hour of the chase, the distance between the two sides had shrunk to under 800 meters. 5-meter-high waves caused all ships to sway violently like drunkards. The leading frigate abruptly turned its bow 30 degrees, cutting across the path of 5 militia ships rushing straight toward the rig. The 76mm cannon on the forward turret fired 6 final continuous warning shots. Shells exploded just 30 meters from the bow of the lead ship, creating a water column over 20 meters high, acting as a white barrier. Shrapnel and salt water splashed back onto the enemy's cabin, forcing them to turn sharply, the hull tilting over 40 degrees, nearly capsizing. Meanwhile, beneath the gray sea surface, a small Malaysian submarine silently surfaced to periscope depth. The black periscope briefly cut the water surface for only 3 seconds before submerging again. Active sonar emitted a short scan, accurately determining the location of 11 small militia ships, attempting to sneak beneath the oil rig to deploy sabotage anchors. The information was immediately transmitted to the mothership via acoustic cable. At the same time, on the command bridge of the second frigate, the manual gun crew rotated the 30mm secondary turret, firing a burst of tracer rounds straight at the southern cluster of ships. Shells ripped through the rainy air, screeching loudly, exploding into dozens of small fireballs right on the water surface, creating a spreading fire area of over 100 square meters. The pungent smell of burning diesel fuel spread on the wind. The militia ships immediately retaliated. The 3 largest switched on high-powered lasers, sweeping continuously. Onto the Malaysian bridge and cockpit, the dazzling blue light cracked the windshield in long lines. An armed helicopter hovering overhead was hit directly on the cockpit glass. The pilot had to pull the stick for a sharp, evasive tilt. The helicopter spun out of control for 5 seconds before regaining stability. From the east, 2 other fast patrol boats rushed in at 40 knots. Water cannons fired high-pressure streams, creating 2 mobile water walls over 50 meters long, pressing against the port side of the northern militia cluster. Water flooded the engine compartments. White smoke rose from the exhaust pipes. The 2 smallest ships began to slow down noticeably, sterns sinking deep into the water. The loudspeakers from all sides rang out simultaneously, Malay, Mandarin, and English mixed in the rain. "Leave the sea area immediately. This is the final warning." But over 40 gray ship silhouettes still rushed forward, alarm sirens wailing loudly like cornered beasts. The third hour had not yet ended, and the distance was still closing every second. The sky turned a heavy lead-gray color. The rain had eased, but the wind still howled at level 7. 6-meter-high waves caused all ships to heave and plunge like panting wild beasts. The fourth hour of the chase, the Malaysian formation had formed a 10 nautical mile wide steel arc around the oil rig, while over 40 militia ships were pressed into the center like fish caught in a net. In the mothership command room, precisely 18 nautical miles from the area, officers stood silently before the large screen. The red blips representing the militia ships were now only moving slowly, forming a circular defensive cluster, bows facing outward like a bristling hedgehog. A brief order rang out. Deploy destroyer. Fire illumination rockets across the entire area, lock down the zone. From the south, A large destroyer rushed in at 33 knots, cutting waves like a knife blade. On the flight deck, 2 transport helicopters were ready. When 5 nautical miles from the area, the destroyer continuously fired 12 large illumination rockets. Fire trails shot up, then burst into 12 hanging white suns at an altitude of 800 meters. The glaring light turned the 20 nautical mile wide sea area into a colossal basketball court with no darkness remaining. Under that cold white light, over 40 militia ships were clearly visible in every detail. Decks crowded with people wearing orange life jackets, the soaked red flag with yellow star fluttering. Some ships had dropped anchor to fix their position and create a barrier. The 2 largest ships switched on high-powered loudspeakers, continuously broadcasting messages in Mandarin, drowning out the sound of the wind. Immediate counter-response, the leading frigate and the destroyer simultaneously fired the final volley of 76mm warning shells. 24 shells exploded in a circle of fire, only 150 meters from the enemy formation. Water columns rose 30 meters high, shell fragments scattered across the sea surface. Several small militia ships were knocked sideways by the waves and capsized, water rushing over the side. At the same time, 4 transport helicopters took off from the destroyer, each carrying 16 Naval Special Forces soldiers dressed in black, wearing night vision goggles. They flew low just above the waves, rotors hitting the water, splashing it everywhere, approaching the 4 slowest outermost militia ships. When 50 meters away, Special Forces soldiers dropped ropes onto the enemy decks, the dry sound of clashing metal amidst the wind. A large militia ship attempted to accelerate and break out of the encirclement, but was immediately cut off by 2 fast patrol boats. Water cannons fired high-pressure streams directly into the funnels. Black smoke choked out, accompanied by the sound of the engine sputtering violently. That ship's stern slowly sank, speed reduced to less than 5 knots. On the destroyer's command bridge, the commanding officer gripped the binoculars tightly, watching the enemy formation press so closely together that they were continuously colliding. The 4th hour passed. The encirclement had tightened, no escape remained. The blood-red sunset slowly spread from the western horizon, dyeing the sea surface into a scorching hot steel plate. The wind had calmed to level 5, but waves were still 5 meters high, causing all ships to sway slowly like wounded beasts. The 5th hour of the chase, over 40 militia ships were now forced into a dense cluster. Within a radius of less than 1 nautical mile, bow touching bow, side scraping side, the screech of metal grinding incessantly, the Malaysian destroyer moves slowly in a wide circle, maintaining a precise distance of 1,200 meters. The 127mm main gun was lowered to its maximum extent. The dark muzzle pointed straight at the central ship cluster, but did not open fire. Instead, 24 illumination rockets were fired continuously, hanging high above like a dome of white fire, allowing no darkness to exist. Meanwhile, in the east of the area, 3 fast landing ships carrying special forces approached at 25 knots. Each ship carried 30 soldiers dressed in black, carrying pneumatic guns and ship grappling nets. When 500 meters from the militia cluster, they simultaneously reduced speed, dropping shiny black inflatable rubber boats into the water. 12 boats rushed forward. 300 horsepower engine is roaring. The bows rose high, then slammed down onto the waves. At the same team, from above, 4 armed helicopters circled continuously, each pass releasing a volley of small parachute flares, forming a slowly descending fire net like a meteor shower. The continuously flashing light forced the people on the militia ships to squint, unable to clearly see the next direction of attack. The largest militia ship in the center of the cluster suddenly accelerated straight ahead, attempting to force a path. Immediately, 2 fast patrol boats cut across at 40 knots. Water cannons fired 2 high-pressure water columns, forming an X to block the path. Salt water flooded the engine compartment. The engines sputtered continuously, then completely died. That ship drifted aimlessly, bow dipping down, stern rising high, being continuously struck by surrounding ships. The special forces on the boats had reached 4 outermost ships. Grappling hooks flew up, embedding into the railings, Special Forces soldiers climbed onto the deck as fast as ghosts. A handheld loudspeaker voice rang out briefly, "Shut down engines, hands up, this is Malaysian waters." No gunshots, only the sound of ropes being tightened and the sound of engines shutting down. On the destroyer's command bridge, the commanding officer monitored through infrared binoculars. Over 40 ships were now completely motionless, forming a chaotic, floating steel island at sea. The 5th hour was about to end, and the encirclement had turned into an iron cage. The night descended abruptly like an iron curtain, with only a dome of white flares hanging above, and red streaks of light from newly fired rockets continuously ascending. The cold northeast wind returned, carrying salt spray and the smell of burnt oil. The 6th hour began. Over 40 militia ships were now completely motionless, engines completely off. Only the sound of lapping waves remained, and the clinking sound of metal debris colliding in the darkness. The Malaysian destroyer reduced speed to 8 knots, moving slowly in a perfect circle 500 meters from the ship cluster. High-powered searchlights slowly swept across the scene, pausing for 5 seconds on each enemy ship before moving on, like a colossal, unblinking eye. The cold white light clearly illuminated every tired face on deck, every soaked flag drooping. At the same team, south of the area, a Malaysian submarine surfaced to periscope depth. The black periscope cut the water surface for only 4 seconds before submerging again. 2 small flares were fired from the emergency launcher, bursting right over the center ship cluster, creating 2 low-hanging secondary suns. Under that dual light, every smallest movement was exposed. From the destroyer's flight deck, 6 transport helicopters took off for the last time, each carrying 12 Special Forces, soldiers, and 2 large spools of rope. They flew low just above the waves, rotors hitting the water, splashing it everywhere, approaching the last 6 largest militia ships. When 100 meters away, searchlights under the helicopter belly switched on, shining directly into the enemy's command cabin. Special Forces soldiers dropped ropes onto the deck, the dry sound of clashing metal amidst the wind. A militia ship on the edge of the cluster suddenly restarted its engine. Black smoke belched from the exhaust, attempting to break out of the encirclement. Immediately, the first fast patrol boat rushed in at 45 knots, its bow ramming the enemy's starboard side at a sharp angle. The strong collision shook both ships violently. Water splashed over 15 meters high. The militia ship listed over 30 degrees, water rushing over the side. The engine completely died again. In the destroyer's operations room, the radar screen now only showed one massive red blip, not moving. Officers stood silently, only the sound of the air conditioning fan, and the light sound of drizzle hitting the turret roof. The final order was broadcast over open radio frequency. All militia ships, turn off lights, raise the white flag, prepare for inspection. On the sea surface now, only the sound of helicopter rotors remained, the steady sound of waves crashing, and the repetitive voice of the handheld loudspeaker in 3 languages. 6 hours of chase had brought everything to a standstill. Thick fog descended like a wet blanket, reducing visibility to less than 200 meters. The temperature dropped to 16 degrees. The cold wind was piercing. 15 minutes past the 6th hour, over 40 militia ships were now completely silent. No lights, no engines. Only the steady sound of waves lapping against the steel hull and the clinking of anchor chains colliding. The Malaysian destroyer turned off all main searchlights, leaving only 4 small searchlights sweeping slowly in rhythm with a heartbeat. In the cloudy white fog, the light diffused like milk, forming faint, ethereal light columns cutting across the sea surface. The destroyer moved slowly at 6 knots, maintaining a precise distance of 450 meters, forming a perfect circle without a gap. Beneath the sea surface, the Malaysian submarine dove 60 meters deep, passive sonar scanned continuously. Every time a small diesel engine attempted to restart, a warning signal was immediately sent to the mothership. This happened twice. 2 militia ships had just moved slightly when fast patrol boats rushed in. Water cannons fired straight into the exhaust pipes, forcing water back into the cylinders. Engines stalled completely. At the same time, from the east, 12 shiny black rubber boats silently approached in the fog. Each boat carried 8 special forces, soldiers dressed in black, wearing infrared goggles, carrying suppressed air rifles. They slid close to the side of the militia ships like ghosts, grappling hooks fired up without a sound, embedding sharply into the wet railings. Special Forces soldiers quickly climbed onto the deck, moving in 3-person formations, no words spoken, only the soft touch of rubber boots on the steel deck. On one of the largest militia ships in the center of the cluster, the first Special Forces team approached the command cabin. The glass door was clouded with mist. Inside, only 3 figures sat motionless. A small, handheld loudspeaker voice rang out in Mandarin. "Open the door, hands up, no resistance." The door cracked open, 3 people stepped out, hands placed on their heads, their wet orange life jackets clinging to their bodies. Meanwhile, on the destroyer's command bridge, the commanding officer monitored through infrared periscope. Dark figures moved across the deck of each militia ship in succession. Then a white flag was slowly raised. No gunshots, no screaming, only the sound of waves and the tightening of ropes. A small militia ship on the periphery attempted to secretly deploy a lifeboat. Immediately, searchlights from a transport helicopter shone straight down. The glaring light beam sliced the fog screen in half. The lifeboat had just left the ship's side when 2 fast patrol boats cut it off. A steel net was fired out, tightly entangling the propeller. That boat was pulled back, secured to the destroyer's side like a fish on a hook. The fog grew even thicker, swallowing every sound. The 7th hour was passing, and the sea area belonged completely to the cold silence. The eastern sky began to spread ash gray, signaling that dawn was still 2 hours away. The fog had partially dissipated, leaving a layer of chilling water vapor clinging to every steel surface. Over 40 militia ships now stood in long lines side by side, anchored together with ropes tightly secured by Malaysian Special Forces. Small white flags dangled from each bow, soaked and perfectly still. The Malaysian destroyer anchored precisely 300 meters from the ship cluster, all main searchlights off. Only the red navigation lights flickered like vigilant eyes. From the flight deck, the last 2 transport helicopters took off, carrying a weapon inspection team and infrared cameras. They circled low, rotors beating slowly, the engine sound echoing steadily like a massive heartbeat in the late-night sea. Beneath the sea surface, the Malaysian submarine surfaced to periscope depth for the last time. The periscope scanned the entire ship cluster once. No engine was operating, no radio signals were transmitted. Passive sonar only picked up the sound of lapping waves and the clanking of anchor chains. The submarine commander sent a brief signal, "Area clear, no hidden targets." At the same team, on the destroyer's main deck, the group of commanding officers stood silently observing the long lines of militia ships through night vision binoculars. Hundreds of figures wearing orange life jackets stood in rows along the ship sides, hands placed on their heads, not speaking. Some ships had their engine compartments opened. Malaysian technical soldiers were dismantling the starting components to ensure no escape. From the north, 3 Malaysian logistics support ships slowly approached, carrying fresh water, dried food, and military doctors. They anchored 500 meters away, deploying small boats carrying basic necessities for the people on the militia ships. No words spoken, only the sound of ropes and the thud of supply boxes on the steel deck. The largest militia ship in the center of the cluster was chosen as the inspection center. Special Forces escorted 3 representatives onto a rubber boat, gently blindfolding them before taking them to the destroyer. In the closed meeting room beneath the mothership's deck, a brief meeting took place under faint yellow light. Papers, itinerary, and objectives were questioned in English and Mandarin via a Naval interpreter. No recording, no filming, only the sound of a brush pen writing on white paper. On the sea surface, a gentle wind began to blow from the southeast, carrying the first warmth of the new day. The long lines of militia ships now looked like a floating steel graveyard, white flags fluttering weakly. The 8th hour was quietly passing. No more pursuit, only absolute control and the heavy silence of the besieged. Dawn broke in the east, like a fiercely red knife slicing the horizon. dyeing the sea surface like thin blood. Oil, smoke, and water vapor rose from over 40 militia ship hulls, forming a low-gray cloud layer, obscuring half the sky. A gentle level 3 warm wind blew, causing the white flags on the bows to move for the first team after many hours of deathly silence. The Malaysian destroyer activated all high-powered loudspeakers. The commanding officer's voice rang out steadily in 3 languages. All militia ships prepare to depart in the designated formation. Do not break formation independently. Violation will result in towing. The echo spread 3 nautical miles, drowning out the sound of the waves. Diesel engines were allowed to restart one by one, under the direct supervision of Special Forces soldiers. The engines started sputtering, black smoke belched from the exhaust pipes, then gradually stabilized into a steady roar. Over 40 ships had their securing ropes removed, forming lines of 5 ships each, bows pointing northeast, the retreat direction agreed upon during the night. The destroyer led the way, followed by 2 frigates forming a steel arrow, followed by the militia convoy. Over 3 nautical miles long, finally, 4 fast patrol boats and a landing ship closed the rear. The formation moved slowly at 12 knots. No ship was allowed to accelerate or deviate more than 5 degrees. In the sky, 6 armed helicopters and 2 reconnaissance planes circled widely in a 10 nautical mile radius. Infrared lights scanned continuously. Every team, a militia ship slightly deviated from the lane. Immediately, searchlights from the helicopter shone straight down, and a warning loudspeaker rang out. Maintain your position, do not repeat. Beneath the sea surface, the Malaysian submarine dove 100 meters deep. Sonar tracked the convoy like a colossal shadow. Every team abnormal speed was detected. A signal was immediately sent to the surface. A fast patrol boat rushed in and pressed against the side. Water cannons fired 1 warning shot, flooding the deck. The sun gradually rose higher. Glaring sunlight shone on hundreds of exhausted faces on the militia ship decks. No one spoke, no one looked at each other. Only the steady sound of diesel engines, the steady sound of waves crashing, and the sound of helicopter rotors fading into the distance. The long convoy began to leave the Malaysian exclusive economic zone, 1 nautical mile at a time, under strict escort. The 9th hour passed in absolute silence of the victor and the vanquished.